Hello, and welcome to another episode of In My Experience with yours truly, Christine DeGinto. This podcast is a space where I speak from lived experience. The moments that shaped me, challenged me, and changed the way that I understand myself in the world. The awakenings, the breakdowns, the moments that cracked me open, asked me to stay present, be embodied, and be honest with myself. I share my stories not to persuade or define truth for anyone else, but to offer perspective, to explore the gray areas we don't often have language for, to slow things down and listen more closely to what's happening beneath the surface. You'll hear solo episodes where I reflect on my own initiations, spiritual gifts, and the systems that tried to define me, and conversations with guests who have walked strange, beautiful, and sometimes painful paths of their own and come back with wisdom to share with us. I invite you to take what resonates, leave the rest, and trust your own experience as valid. Thank you for being here. This is In My Experience. Hey everyone, welcome back to In My Experience. I'm your host, Christine DeGinto. Before we get started, I have to address the dissatisfaction, the poor quality of my audio for this recording. That I had a conversation with Stefan Glazer back in February, on February 5th, actually. And unfortunately, Grace was playing with my podcast setup. She was, playing on her own time, and I didn't realize that she had adjusted the settings for the microphone sound. And there are many points where you can't hear what I'm saying. That's okay, because really what matters is what Stefan is saying. I will say that if you watch it on YouTube, it may be easier to like kind of read my lips and figure out what I'm saying, but don't worry about it. I'm sorry. Shit happens. I've been sitting on this one because I didn't know what to do. Um, I wasn't sure I should share it because of the poor quality, but I will say the conversation was so wonderful that it's very important for me to share and perfect timing to share now as we discuss Stefan's journey through a medical scare over a year ago, where he became very ill very quickly and none of it made sense. So he has gotten back into his spiritual practices on a regular basis, making sure that he anchors in uh, grounded frequencies and taking care of his mental health and emotional health as well. Um, as I'm recording this, my son's cat, Mac, is in the veterinary ICU with congestive heart failure. They're working to stabilize his heart and release the fluids that have accumulated and get him out of failure. He may live weeks, months, maybe a year. He's quite young. He's only 3 years old, and apparently this is genetic for him as his heart walls are very thick. But I think that it's because last week he was separated from Kit Kat, Lynx, and Tigger. And I think that his heart is broken. Unfortunately, my son does not agree with me. In fact, he said he might punch me in the face if I kept talking like that. Anyway, so many things have changed since I last saw Stefan 3 years ago at a plant medicine retreat in Sedona with Chris King. We took this time to catch up about all of the things that have happened in those past 3 years. And next time we talk, we're going to cover topics along the lines of autism and ADHD, being neurodivergent. That's something that is very important to Stefan's journey and sharing his discovery in the path of being neurodivergent, as well as having those gifts be connected with spiritual gifts. I find it fascinating. It's interesting because today's conversation naturally goes into the connection between our health, our emotional well being, our spiritual practices, and how disconnected we can become from ourselves. I'm not saying every illness has a spiritual cause or that medicine isn't important, because it absolutely is. But I do think that it's worth paying attention when life asks us to slow down and listen. Listening back to this episode actually made me smile because Stefan and I talked about following the little nudges, the intuitive breadcrumbs. And I realized that I have actually been doing exactly what I said I wanted to do. I went to Mount Shasta in April. It was incredible. And in just a few days, I'm going to be heading to Tennessee for a natural building workshop, which has been on my heart for years. After that, I'll be staying a few weeks at the Vedic Eco Village, which I've been following on Instagram for a long time. And I seriously cannot express how excited I am. One of the things that I'll be taking with me is hundreds of dollars worth of seeds, mostly food crops, and a ridiculous amount of loofah because exfoliation is important. Apparently, when I grow something, I don't know how to just grow a few. The seeds were originally meant for a huge homestead garden that I had planned to build for my own family. But through the years and in the divorce, everything shifted. I'm glad that I withheld those seeds, and I think it's very telling that I didn't feel safe enough to spread my seeds there. I wanted to withhold them, keep them safe, and have them actually be nurtured and grow into something fruitful that would benefit people. And I guess I knew that wouldn't happen there. That's okay, because I realized that the world is my family. I'm excited to share with anyone who will receive it. Family is the people that we are drawn to, the communities that we're invited into, the people who recognize us, appreciate what we bring, and genuinely want us there. As a 4-6 projector in human design, recognition and invitation have become really important lessons for me. I've spent so much of my life trying to prove myself or force things to happen. And lately, I've been practicing something different, just waiting for invitations that feel aligned. This workshop feels like one of those invitations. The Eco Village is one of those invitations. Donating the seeds feels symbolic too. Instead of holding on to them for a life that may or may not happen someday, I get to share them now. Maybe they'll become food for someone I've never met. Maybe they'll help someone learn and grow their own food. Maybe they'll just be a tiny contribution to something much bigger than me. And that feels really good. Honestly, that's exactly what today's conversation with Stefan is about. It's about what happens when we lose alignment, when life gets loud and we drift away from the things that keep us connected to ourselves. Sometimes the body is the first to let us know. Stefan is an author, photographer, podcaster, sound healer, and co founder of the Pneuma Collective. After experiencing a serious health crisis that didn't fit neatly into conventional explanations, he found his way back to meditation, presence, and the practices that had always grounded him. That journey eventually led him to his partner, Shannon, creating a retreat and sound healing space that they've been receiving guidance about for years. I loved this conversation, and listening back to it months later somehow means even more to me now than it did when we recorded it. So, this episode is called The Body's Warning: Losing Alignment and Finding It Again. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Stefan Glazer. Let's get into it.
What's new with you?
Well, I mean, I'm alive, and I say that as like a haha, but also like it's been a year since I got out of the hospital when I almost died out of nowhere, so that was interesting. But this past year has been like one of those years that has been like constantly going back and like remembering, go back to your roots, go back to your practices, because if you don't, you'll end up back in the hospital.
Yeah,
So
I missed something because I don't.
a lot of people missed it.
What? How? What? Please tell me.
So it had a lot to do with not managing stress and dealing with the situation I'm dealing with here in New Mexico, and I let it get to me, and basically I started getting sick, but I wasn't like paying attention to my body at all. I wasn't even doing like daily check-ins. Like I would do a daily body scan, just like, okay, what's feeling weird? I would just ignore everything. And then one morning I woke up and I couldn't breathe anymore.
Fully dissociated. So then, and one morning, what?
I woke up and I just couldn't breathe anymore. It was really cool. And I had to go to the hospital. And they said, well, it's good that you came in because if you tried to go to sleep tonight, you would have died in your sleep.
Hmm, like sleep apnea?
No, that's the fun part. So stress is a killer. And through some weird virus that got in, started wreaking havoc on my pancreas. And then I went into diabetic ketoacidosis
Mhm.
and had pancreatitis. And I'm not diabetic.
Mm.
And that was like the big question they were all asking me in the ER. They're like, how long have you been diabetic? Your blood sugar is like, when I went into the ER, it was like 430 or 420 something. And I was like, that sounds high. And they were like, yeah, it should be around 100. And I was like, oh, yeah. So it was strange. I was in the hospital in the ICU for a week, and then when I got out, I remember the nurse practitioner was like, he goes, I don't think you're diabetic. Like this, you recovered from this really
Yeah,
quick.
yeah,
I was like, yeah, I'm not ready to die, and I'm not ready to jab myself with needles.
yeah. Ketoacidosis, right?
Yeah, diabetic ketoacidosis. So my pancreas was just done. It just stopped working, basically.
And I know okay. I know that you really need your pancreas because when people have pancreatic cancer, yeah, they're up against a really, like, that's not a good thing. So I know it's a very vital organ, but I will admit, I don't know what the fuck it does. So can you describe what?
Yeah, I mean the pancreas is it regulates your body's insulin. So it'll like if your blood sugar's up, it will push insulin into your body to bring it down, bring it down, et cetera, et cetera. So what was happening is my pancreas just went, fuck it, I'm done.
Mhm.
And I was like, ah. But
Wow, interesting. What's coming to my mind, what I just heard, is something that I don't even know about, but was told about, called German New Medicine. The roots may be tied to Nazis, I'm not sure, but we're smart. Little fuck. No, there's something about this if you want to ever look into it. Someone described this to me as something I might be interested in because I question the medical diagnosis. I mean, I understand it. I understand it. Thank you to everyone and anyone who is a doctor, a nurse, someone who has medical knowledge. We appreciate you. You are necessary.
mhm.
We love you. But what the fuck? Sometimes people are not no
Yeah,
in the medical field, and we just have to stop in the head. Could that be spiritual? What does that mean? What is it tied to? Is there, so please continue. Please continue.
what? Well, and that was my big thing while I was in the hospital. I mean, the first 2 nights were weird. I had like I had 4 different spots that I had IV cocktails going into my body, which was terrifying and strange. But as I was like coming out of it, I even said, I was like, I'm not diabetic. Like I purposely have watched what I've eaten. I watch what I put in my body. I don't, not a fan of processed foods or sugars or anything like that. So like the fact, well, and like my chemical treats are like this, a little Powerade with no sugar in it. Like I've never been a sugar person.
It's so rare for me. Daughter asked me to get, it's like maybe once a year, maybe once. Like very rare, but
But you know, I was like, I take care of myself, and then I sat and thought, I was just like, the past few months I haven't been, and I was like, I really haven't been taking care of myself, and I kind of just sat with that, and I was like, I need to start taking care of myself. And there's like, yeah, well, you said you ate. I was like, yeah, I do. I eat really good foods, but I'm not taking care of my mental state. I'm not taking care of my spiritual state. Like I'm not. I have practices that I do, and I haven't been doing them.
yeah. Well, that happens when you're overwhelmed. That happens when, unfortunately, we prioritize that for ourselves. That is where the foundation shatters. Like it could be this way or it could be this way. And it's really up to us to like keep those practices going, but like totally no fault of our own. And I think actually probably I don't want to use the word predestined, but it's like meant to be kind of like for us to wake up and to become more aware again. Because it's not like we can't beat ourselves up like I already know this. I know better. You know, I give people wonderful advice. My life even fucking dumps their body. Advice? No, I give to people. But like you know, it's like that. We can't beat ourselves up yet because you're taking care of something else. You're dealing with all these other things. Life changes, a move, and she's I don't think we need to give ourselves any credit for how much our body needs to because we're just like, oh yeah, I'm finished moving, I unpack everything. But we don't like stop and like settle up all of the you know? It's so much. Yeah.
Yeah, I learned that lesson, and that's why like the first year here in New Mexico, you know, after the divorce, it was like one of those things where I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I don't know. I have no idea. Like I have an idea of what to do, but I was unsure of what I was doing. And I was like, I have to focus on something. And I couldn't. And that's how it got to that point. And then as I got to that point and got through the threshold of the other side, that's when I was like, okay, now I know what I'm supposed to be doing. Because when you have a week laying in a bed, you kind of have time to think about everything.
That's what I mean. Like it got to that point, like on purpose to give you that space because you need the space to unravel all of that and to recognize it and process it. And it's many multiple layers, like you said, mental, spiritual, physical, like all of the aspects of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was like the big revelation. Like when I was laying in the bed there, I go, saw and did all these things. I wrote all these things down for the past years now of what I wanted to do with my life, and now I understand how to do them, and now I just have to do them. And that's basically what the last year of my life was, and that was figuring out how to have community without being too involved in community, which sounds horrible, but for my personality, I don't like large groups of people. So, you know, I do a lot of meditation work where people are just like, oh, you go facilitate places? I'm like, no, but yes. I'll record for facilitators and give them a produced meditation now, so I can pass on that energy. And I'm like, well, what else can I do? And I work with my partner Shannon. We facilitate these things all throughout the year. Like we have a big underground sound healing event that she hosts in Kansas in a salt mine 650 feet below the earth.
I was thinking about underground sound healing. Now I understand.
Yeah, it's literally underground sound healing event. Like it's not like, oh, underground, like it's like indie, like no, like
I was letting you go. I was trying to figure it out, but I get it now.
it's like we literally go underground. And it's amazing. And then, we have other things that we set up a few times a year where we can do these things. And I have this outlet to be in these containers, to capture them as a photographer, to work as a facilitator, to just hold space, like all these beautiful things. And I'm like, yeah, this is what I need in my life. Like,
Oh my God, it's so amazing. And I love that how you identified that. Like you're working with groups and helping in community, but you don't have to physically be there. Like your energy is put into
yeah,
the visions that you have for the healing frequency to be transmitted, and you don't have to be there and absorb others also.
yeah. I think that's been very important for me because I do absorb a lot. It's part of who we are. When we're empaths, things glom onto us, and we have to make sure that we do the things that, like, if I am physically going to a retreat or something now, I know with integration, after going through all that, like you go through integration, and then I'm just like, all right, now I need to cleanse, because I know, like, some of this is mine, but this isn't mine. That's not mine.
Oh my gosh. Before we started, I was thinking about that. I was going to say, my podcast is called In My Experience. I was thinking, it almost just like came to me, so this is how it was like a download. And it's like, Stefan has been in my experience. He's literally been in my mind. Intentionally, unintentionally, we don't fucking know. But
laying on a deck in Sedona.
and then I was thinking, my mind would not shut the fuck up. And I was trying my best just to relax with it and like let it go. But the things were alarming me because it's like, but you know what I realized just like before we started this, that most of that wasn't even mine.
Mm-hmm.
And not in a deflective way, it's in a non-accountability way. I don't mean that at all, because I totally recognize that fucked up shit comes from me, like 100%. I'm not saying, that's from other people. It literally was not mine. So I was just like, why will this not stop? Like, because I was not putting up the boundary for it to stop. Like, I didn't know how to do that yet. And I just looked at him and I was like, can you hear this? And he like, why? And you were like, yeah. I was like, and Lindsay's like wafting. She's like wafting the energy. Like, I feel like we were processing. The three of us were processing stuff for people inside 100%. And I was so confused. I'm like, why won't it stop in my head? I'm just picking up all the mental data. I'm just a channel, like, so I get it now. But back then I was like, I thought it was me.
I think that was the strange thing too about that whole time is, I was talking to Shannon about this, and I was like, oh yeah, the last time I actually was physically with Christine was, I was like, Sedona. I was like, that's almost 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
And I was like, that doesn't seem right. I was like, that.
So much has happened. So many timeline jumps.
Mm-hmm.
Those are timeline jumps. And
So many.
Yeah. And it's like, feels like a different life, right?
It's, yeah.
You're completely different. And so is mine from when we saw each other last.
Yeah. Completely. I mean, that time in Sedona was before I even finished writing my book. That was, Nina and I were still together, and it was a pivot. That was like a turning point in everything.
Yeah.
That moment, because that was the moment that I was like, that I felt I was home being in
Mhm.
Sedona, and I've never felt that before.
Yeah.
So, the idea of even, because it was, Nina even said it, when we separated, she's just like, well, you've always wanted to go to the Southwest. Sedona calls to you. So go help your uncle.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, he's in New Mexico. I like it out here. It's, high elevation, big mountains, wide open spaces. But I'm only 5 hours from Sedona. So
Mhm.
I've gone to Sedona many times since I've been here because it's only a 5 hour drive.
Yeah.
And every time it's like I reconnect to that feeling of like, yeah, this is still that feeling of home, but now I'm closer to home and it feels very different. And it's hard to explain, but it's like when you find a place, you go, oh yeah, this place really calls to me.
Yes. Yeah. I've been thinking that I might be in the wrong place. I did an astrocartography report. I found that the ideal places for me on my sunline are Australia, Southwest Africa,
Mm.
and Canada.
Australia makes sense for you.
I think so. I would love Australia. It's basically like this, but opposite, right? It's just opposite. It's a day ahead. The seasons are opposite.
Yeah, they're in the middle of summer right now. I have cousins that live in Australia, in Melbourne, and there's like, oh, you got to come visit. I was like, eventually I will. Just right now, probably not. I don't know. I've not called to.
My son has a girlfriend, and they've been dating for a year now. I feel like 2 years. And her family is from New Zealand, and they have a lot of family in Australia. And I was like, we could definitely well, with the cob houses, like the cob that I was trying to learn, I plan to do that in multiple places. I plan to move around and build many of them. Like that's what it's like for contribution to the world and myself and how to live and help.
Well, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I mean the earthen houses up in Taos. Have you've looked into? They have classes that you can do, and they even have an online course with the builders that you can get certified in making the earthen ships. So
Yeah, that's the
that's
one I want to go in. And it's crazy because actually, I just am remembering about 3 years ago, I was working. I just started my own business, but I was doing landscape business consulting because I ran a landscaping business. So when I stopped doing that, what am I going to do? Consult on landscape software and business aspects and all kinds of stuff. So I did that, and I started working with a landscaping company, and I wanted to move to the West Coast. I wanted to move to Oregon, but I was going through a difficult time separating from my husband and have kids. So it was hard for me. I wouldn't really be able to leave. I felt like I couldn't leave. So I never left. So part of the agreement for me to stay here was this job offer that I got to do business consulting work for this landscaping. And I chose to do it in exchange for $10,000 of materials and time to build a fence and help me build this garden as a homestead at my home property. So I thought my dream happened. Well, not in the wrong spot with the wrong people. Your dreams are never going to happen, honey. So that's what the fuck I learned. But anyway, the cutest dream ever. But if you're surrounded by demons, they will not help you. That's but anyway, while I was working with this company, I got an offer from someone who builds tree houses, and he was building earth ships. We didn't call it that. I guess that's trademarked, but it's like
yeah.
it's houses and stuff. And he needed an administrative person to help him with the business for that building construction aspect. And I was like, wow, that's really cool, but I have a job and I already committed to this. And, like I'm already, like, I can't back down because then I'm working on my dream. And then that motherfucker just didn't fulfill his end of the deal. So that's what it is. It was an introduction into, it was an opportunity to step into what I think is my life path. Yeah.
Yeah, and that, I mean, I've always gotten that from you, like for as long as I've known you now. It's like the natural creator. It's like you're there to make it naturally. You're not there to destroy the earth around it and then build a manufactured thing that's fake in the middle of all the nature. You all would just, even if it came down to it, you'd be like, I have a mud hole that I can live in, and there's wildflowers everywhere. Like I could see you doing that because that's the natural path.
Yeah, thank you. That's such a nice compliment. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I was wondering why you said you could see me in Australia. I think I was going to say that I like wouldn't be afraid of snakes and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bugs, snakes, everything there that doesn't bother you, even if they might be dangerous. It's like, no, it's not going to bother Christine.
Every retreat so far, I've had an interaction with an animal. At the most recent retreat, I saved a mouth. And then I held him in my hands and dried him off with the cuffs of my sweatshirt for like an hour by the fire. And I fed him a raspberry inside of that. Then I named him after like my ultimate animal and I let him go. Yeah, it was wild.
I mean, that was my introduction to you. Was like the real introduction to you was that first morning, and it was just after dawn. We're all by the pool, and you just had a little snake. I was like, okay, this makes sense.
Well, big snake, I just couldn't refuse it. Well, because it was early before the sun came up. I always do. I'm always outside. I just like I live outside. I don't even sometimes buy like a package with a room because I'm
Yeah, because you slept under the bush that night.
wow. I love that I could be so free and felt so like nurtured that I could like literally do what I wanted to and be like nobody thinks it's weird. I love it so much.
Yeah, and that is, I think that's always been like the most important part. Obviously, every like sacred space that I've been in, if you don't have that, then you're not in the sacred space that you could you could do that. So it's like it was like almost it was how I've given you the nickname the wild card because you would just pop out of nowhere and you'd be like, "Hey, how's it going?" And you're just like, "Where did you come from?" You're like, "I was over in the woods there," and you're just like, "I didn't even know that was part of the property."
I don't know. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I started cutting the grass on someone's property that was not a customer. And and they were like, "What are you doing?" I'm cutting the grass. I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Am I not supposed to?" No. But just imagine, like, he was nice to me. But like if it was some guy, he probably would have been like,
Yeah.
so I feel very lucky sometimes. I feel fortunate to be able to pull that wild card. Like, oh, I'm just a girl. No.
Whoops. Yeah, that was even in Sedona. That was like, oh, when's Christine getting here? We're like, no idea. And then you like popped out from like, literally, it felt like you popped out from behind the bushes because you got a ride with somebody. And I was like, how did you get here? Because you weren't supposed to be here for like 2 or 3 more hours. And like, I don't even remember like how it happened.
Yeah. Well, you know what is so funny? The last retreat that I was on, my connecting flight, I missed because the first flight was delayed, and then they got me on another flight. But I had to drive. I had to get an Uber, whatever. It doesn't even matter. So I almost didn't make it. I thought that I was going to miss the first night, like as far as I knew, like the flight was canceled, blah, blah. I'm like, I might miss the first night. And then they changed it because the same crew that was on my plane had to do the next flight. So they can't leave without that crew. So, and that's what the crew said to me at the very end. Well, we're not going to be able to do this without us. So why don't you hop on this that we're about to go on because we're going here. And I was like, oh, you guys are angels. Sometimes flight attendants and airline people are angels. If you assume that they're an angel, they will be.
Mm-hmm.
I've found. If you're like, this person can help me and I'm going to be super kind to them, they will. Especially American Airlines, no other airlines.
No,
But
no.
I'm not paid for this.
They're not a sponsor. Yeah, it's funny that how my life has gone like from yeah, I need to do the work and get into the next retreat to having like I haven't had any of the medicine called to me in since Sedona. Actually, since we had like a mini ceremony at my house in Georgia. Even then, I was like, I really don't feel like doing this. Like, I don't feel like sitting with this right now because it's not. I'm not feeling compelled to this, and it hasn't been since. And I kind of laugh at it all because I go, oh yeah, because it's my turn to
Yes.
put the energy out, not take the energy in.
Integration. Yes. Is actively embodying what you learned and what you want to see in the world. You got to be it. That's
Mhm.
from what I found. And what
Yeah.
I makes sense. Yeah. Well, you got to actually do those things. And sometimes those things change. I mean, like if you consider like the first to the last, your goals and ideas totally change.
I would have never even seen the path that I'm on. Like in, I guess this would be a month before I came out here. So it would have been like December, November. It was after I went to Ben Carroll's sound retreat. That's where I actually met Shannon. And I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, but I need to sit with the sound and like just let whatever be shown to me. I need to see something because right now I don't see anything and it's frustrating me. And that whole weekend was just like me kind of just letting go of like whatever I was feeling, just like, all right, what is being shown to me? And that's how like everything started, like little bit by bit. Like there's a campfire. I'm like, okay, cool, campfire. The fuck's that supposed to mean? And then it was like, here is this robed figure, and you at a campfire. I'm like, all right. And then as time went on, I had a few more things, and then I had like a Kundalini session, and then I saw it. It was this thing in the desert. I was like, what does that mean?
Ooh, yes.
And I was like, okay, so it's in the desert, and I see these shapes of these like houses. And I was like, I don't know what this is. But every time I would write it down and like sketch out what I saw, and I was like, and every time it kept getting clearer, and I was like, I don't understand. And then Nina and I decided to separate, and I was like, well, this doesn't make any sense at all. I thought like this whole thing, we're working towards doing this thing. She's this beautiful energy worker, and I'm finding my way doing what I'm doing. And I was like, what am I doing? And that's what I didn't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And when it all came back to meditation for me is when I had that realization. I was like, this is not just my my daily practice. I'm like, I'm writing out meditations. Like, what am I doing? Like, I have looked at journals. I was like, focusing on like energy and focusing on specific things, and like, these are meditations. I was like, oh, maybe this is it. And it got to the point that when I finally came out here, I was like, something out here feels right. And then that's when basically Nina and I decided, I was like, well, I think I'm just going to move out here. It's going to make sense. So when I came back, I had one more Kundalini session because I remember Nina was doing something to either do a certification for facilitating or
In that class.
yeah. And so and this is why when I tell people this, they're like, "But didn't you guys separate?" I was like, "Yeah, but it's not a bad thing. Our contract was over like that. We got to where we needed to be, and if we needed to grow and be more, we couldn't do it together. And we saw that. So it's like it's super important, but also like like I'm going to help a friend out.
Yeah, that's so. I wish, and I know I said this to you before. I was thinking about this before we recorded too. I always get the little snippets, like when I'm brushing my teeth or whatever, especially in the shower. But I remember saying to you and Josh, because I was trying to compliment you both and thank you for being like holding the masculine and being in right relationship with your partner and exploring and just being open to this experience and like just things like that along those lines. Because of my experience, I would have wanted to do the same with my partner, but he was not willing to be open in that way. So it was sad for me, but also awakening, because then it's like, well, in order to grow, this is the direction that I feel is important to me. If he's not willing to go in that direction with me, he's not willing to be open. Like, obviously, I'm not going to be like held in this relationship. Like, it was pretty clear indicator for me that I needed to leave that relationship. Yeah. But I was just showing appreciation for you as men, like being there with your partners and also as individuals. And I was like, I hope someday I can have what you guys have. And then I thought about it, and in a recent retreat as well, people were really complimenting a couple that was there. But I get this little whisper in the back of my head, like, how dare you like put that pressure on them and put them up on a pedestal so that they think they feel like they have to like act like everything's all fine because it would be disruptive for you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're like, oh, you guys are the best couple, like that. And you're like, but you have no idea. They're not. Like, so that's what I'm trying to get at is I could hear those like quiet screams of don't fucking do that to them. You know what I mean? Because then they're going to be like, now I feel like I can't share how I really feel because it's going to hurt their feelings because that's not, they want to see us as this great couple. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that was always like the pressure, even beyond spiritual community. All of our mutual friends are like, "You guys are goals, like a goal relationship." I was like, "Don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't say those things."
Mm-hmm.
Because then when everyone saw that we were separating, they were like, "Wait, no. If your goals and you're separating," I was like, "Yeah, that's." You don't put the expectations on something like that because when the two people see that they're already going like this, the fact that they can actually talk about it, and we did, that was one of the hardest conversations. And then like the next day we went to Ben and Janine's Christmas party, and like everyone there, of course Christopher was there, and he already knew. Of course he already knew, but he was like, he's like, this is why it's hard having me as a friend because I want to say things and I can't. I was like, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But it like I said, in the going back to where I said before, that last Kundalini session like tipped the scales and I saw everything clearly. I saw the layout of the land. I saw that there was the fire, and I saw like who the hooded person, like the robed person was, and I saw all of like our friends and like people in the spiritual community eventually coming to us to either hold their own ceremonies and retreats or to partake in ours. And it was like so vivid. And I was like, okay, now I know why the Southwest has been calling. And that is most importantly why like I was like, I know I have to be there. I'm gonna be there and I'll figure it out as I go. Even looked back into my charts and I was like, oh, I do my most important work between Prescott, Arizona and just beyond the mountains outside my door. Like there's this swath of area that all this important stuff is happening. I was like, and it's one of those things where I tend to go with it and believe it, but then there's always that little itch and goes like, really? Like,
Are there lines there? Like, have you looked at the
yeah.
line in that frame of mind that you're intentionally working with the energy grid of our physical weakness? I don't know how else to put it. Yeah.
But yeah, and that was like the when I had that little because something that always comes up with me is that little thing of negativity will come up and be like, hey, what do you what? And then I go, first of all, shut up, stop the negative. Like I don't need to hear it. Thankfully, no one sees me having these conversations with myself. But I was able to sit with that and go, no, ever since coming here, even regarding what happened with my health last year, everything has been a step towards what I have seen, including meeting people, like connecting with Shannon and building something with her that has started to grow. And now through her and through like just mutual friends, we've found this small community in Sedona that's now kind of feeding us into everything there. And I was like, eventually, that's where I see everything. Sedona's always been there. Ever since I grabbed the ground and started crying when we were in Sedona in 2023, I was like, yeah, I know that's going to be where I end up. But I was like, I had to like stop with the how and the when and the like the what do I have to do? Just follow the intuitive path that I was on. And I think that was the biggest thing for me. It's like, oh, I can look back now and see the milestones and the steps and the big leaps in what I'm doing. And I was like, oh, it's happening. Like it's actually happening. Like it's not something I was like, oh yeah, I saw it and I wrote it down. Like, no, it's actually happening now. It's like we're doing these things. We're meeting these people. We're traveling all over the Southwest, and we're going to be in the Pacific Northwest at the end of August, holding a retreat there. That one's going to be really fun because that's where Shannon's from. So like she is excited because it's like the forest, the Cispus forest is where she grew up basically. So we're going to do a week-long retreat there, and that's going to be fun because.
So the group that I was working with for the Cobb workshop in Puerto Rico that I was not able to attend, I asked them if I could have the tuition that I already paid as a credit to the next workshop because I do want to participate. And they said that the next one would be in 2026 in Oregon. I don't know when, I don't know where, but Oregon. And I'm like, okay, I have a friend in Oregon who has a homestead. It's been difficult for him. He's alone and that's really hard. So, but I'm down. I'll be some, I don't know when, but I'm feeling like the next retreat that I go on will probably be an individual retreat, which I've never had before. And I was like Shasta for it. So It's probably what I'll do next, maybe this year, maybe next year. I don't know.
I, Shasta has been something that I'm not gonna say it's eluded me, but like it calls to me and then doesn't. It's just like, hey, and then it's gone. And I'm like, oh, okay, I understand. I understand. It's very important. But then, like, I get flooded in with all the other places
Yeah.
much louder. And
Yeah.
it's much louder. So, like, I know it keeps coming up. And obviously, since Christopher moved there, it's like, it's now louder, but it's not the loudest. It's
Yeah.
like it doesn't have my full attention, but it's just like it's running in the background constantly. Like you have to go. It's like you have to experience it because there is obviously there's that feeling. There's that feeling, and period. Like that feeling of such an important space and time to be in there. And it doesn't matter when you go because obviously time's not real, as we all know. But when you go, it's like that time that you're there is important. And I don't know why. It's just running in the background while everything else is done. I have a feeling that when it gets to the point where the thing happens, where I get the land and do whatever to build out the thing, that's when Shasta is going to come to the forefront. And I don't know. I don't know when that is.
Yeah. We can't jump ahead. We can't wonder if or why or what. Just like I think you're right on cue, following the bits that you get and faster than you think.
Yeah. Well, and that's been my.
Because you'll be wrong. You just
Yes. That's been my mantra since moving here. It's like when I first started talking to Shannon, I told her I was like, "Oh, I gotta bring you to Sedona," and she's like, "First of all, how? How is that going to even like?" She's like, "I'm in Oklahoma City. You're in New Mexico. We don't know anything in Sedona." I was like, "Well, I know Sedona is my soul's home," and she was like, "Okay, that's a start." I was like, "We'll figure it out." And then she had a retreat with Ben in Maine. So complete opposite end from Sedona. And she met somebody at Ben's retreat that was really cool, did some work with her, and she has this beautiful place in Maine. And then she goes, "Man, I got to bring you out to Sedona." And she's like, "What?" She goes, "Oh, yeah, yeah, I have a house in Sedona and in Maine. So I go to Sedona for the winters, switch back and forth." She's like, "You want to come out in November for like the 11/11 portal?" And I was like, "Well, that's funny because Shannon and I met on 11/11, even though we didn't know any of this would be happening in the future." So I was like, we were at Ben's retreat for 11/11. She meets Emily at this retreat, and she just invites Shannon and myself because she's like, "I want to bring." She's like, "I need to get photos done," and she goes, "I know a photographer."
Crazy.
So
Crazy.
we just
How it works.
Yeah, a year after, it's like all of a sudden I'm in Sedona. I said, "This is the mantra I will always have with anything that you think. It's going to happen, and it's going to happen sooner than you think." It's because you're going to get lost in the thought, lost in the sauce, and you're going to be like, "Ah, when is it going to happen? Is it going to be years from now?" And then as soon as you stop thinking about when, it happens.
Yeah. Don't even put your energy, don't even waste your energy. Just trust. Just trust that it will. Yeah.
Mm.
If it's meant for your heart, if you feel it, you fuel yourself up with joy when you think of it, it will happen. Because of dingus, you know me, I do things ass backwards. I never actually introduced you. Do you want to do it now at the end?
Sure.
It'll get there, Oh, they'll hear it.
They'll hear it. Yeah. So, hi, I'm Stefan Glazer. I guess like my proper introduction is I always tell people I'm an aligned photographer because I invited into sacred spaces to capture them, which is a lot harder than you think because when I'm there, I'm not there. I don't interfere in the energy. I don't mess with the container. I am able to capture it without disrupting it. I'm an author. I'm a former, but soon to be again podcast host. Um, yeah, I've started the the Pneuma Collective here in New Mexico, but it's actually kind of as big as I want it to be, or as small as I want it to be. I started it with Shannon as a place to kind of have what we do in one spot. So her sound healing stuff, the music we make, and my meditations, all that in one area, but also for other practitioners to kind of join and be able to find other practitioners. So the small scale is a place to gather practitioners to help each other. The large scale is to, oh, I'm traveling to this area. What I'm looking for this practitioner.
Indirectly.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That's good collective. Yeah.
yeah. And through that, that's where the podcast will end up coming up again because that's been a message that I've gotten over and over from even people I didn't know when I went out to Oklahoma City to go capture some stuff at a retreat, and I was like, somebody would come up and be like, you have a podcast. I was like, I used to about about navigating neurodivergence, which is a big part of being autistic, ADHD, all that fun stuff. But I was like, yeah, but I haven't. They're like, no. You have a podcast with practitioners, like with other energy workers and everything. I was like, no, like, no, you do. Like I see it, and I see your a symbol, and they literally describe what I have for my logo, which is the flower, the seed of life with the tree of life in it. So it's like they're like, yeah, I see the seed of life, and they showed me the picture. I'm like, okay, I get it. I get it. Yeah. Yes, I will have a podcast eventually.
It's already happening.
Yeah.
We just have to catch up to that. It already is like currently happening.
Exactly.
Precisely. Oh my goodness. Well, I'll have to have you on again because I love talking about also neurodivergence and ADHD, autistic. Things. I feel I've not been diagnosed autistic, but I do think that I am.
Yeah.
And so those two in particular are very closely related to having spiritual anxiety.
100%.
Yeah, that's what I love to talk about.
Yeah. Which I will a little inside baseball. That's what this episode was supposed to be about, but this is what.
We haven't seen each other in 3 years. We had a lot to catch up on. So
Yes, we did.
now we know what we're going to be talking about, and you guys are excited for it, right? So
Thanks.
yeah, you guys, those guys, they're
Yep.
out.
They're out there. They're out there.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time today. What a wonderful way to catch up. I so appreciate it. Good luck on all of your endeavors. I'm so excited to watch them unfold with you.
Thank you so much, Christine. Thank you for having me on, and I'm excited to see where everything goes. I'm ready to just let it happen.
Amen. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this conversation with Stefan. One of the biggest takeaways for me is that alignment isn't something that you find once and then you're done. It's something that you have to choose over and over again. Sometimes we drift, sometimes we get busy, we stop doing the things that make us feel like ourselves. And every once in a while, our body, our circumstances, or life itself taps us on the shoulder and says, hey, come back. I think that's what this episode is really about. Not fear, not perfection, just paying attention. If you'd like to connect with Stefan, learn more about the Pneuma Collective, check out his photography, or follow the retreat space that they'll be creating, you'll find all of his information in the show notes. And if this conversation resonated with you, I would love it if you shared with someone that you think would enjoy it. It really does help when these conversations reach more people. You can also find me on Instagram at Hyacinth Healing, where I share updates from my travels, the podcast, and the very real, messy experience of trying to live in alignment instead of just talking about it. As always, I don't expect you to believe everything you hear on this podcast. I simply invite you to stay curious, think for yourself, and take what resonates through the lens of your own experience. Because at the end of the day, that's what this podcast has always been about. Not telling you what to believe, just sharing in my experience. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next episode. Enjoy this track by Jeremy Silva, aka Stilo Free, one half of the Outside Minds podcast hosts. This song is called Lights and Shadows.
Made diamonds, lay back, smoking loud in the silence. It's all love, but no trust. Why you think I'm doing too much? Cause pressure made diamonds, lay back, smoking loud in the silence. I roll up and go up. Why you tripping, give me no love? Nowadays you don't gotta mind me. In the end I hope you really find peace. I had to set my mind free. I had to let my soul breathe. Moon sign Pisces, heart broke psyche. Angels all around me, but demons wanna fight me. Feel like I had to fight myself. No, I had to look inside myself. With a predisposition to addiction. Through the negatives, I'm still focused on the vision. It's sorta like that first scene you see in Pulp Fiction. I see the end, but it's really only the beginning. I had to find a way to be grateful for them locked doors that you made close. When doves cry, it's so painful, but the purple rain is so graceful. Cause pressure made diamonds, lay back, smoking loud in the silence. It's all love, but no trust. Why you think I'm doing too much? Cause pressure made diamonds, lay back, smoking loud in the silence. I roll up and go up. Why you tripping, give me no love? I'm fighting battles, lost between the lights and the shadows. Trying to shoot me down, I'm dodging all the ammo. Left me hanging, I escaped from the gallows. Swim through the ether, blowing on a reefer. Running like Rev when he rapped about Adidas. It's like my flow is heaven sent. My energy could shift the cards in your tarot deck. Life ain't always what it seemed. An alternate reality, I'm living in a dream. I got the Stussy on the T with the 501 jeans. Ray-Ban Lokes with the Air Max 3s. Mandela effect, got me living my best. I gotta jump timelines when I'm living in stress. And a spliff in my chest, it got me lifting and blessed. Peace, you know the rest.